Welcome to That's Joy, the podcast. I'm your host, Cece Calbanero, and I'll be sharing stories of miracles, God moments, and unpacking the truth behind what joy truly means. My friend, when God gives you a direct call on your life, be sure to answer it. Here's to answering my call together. Hello and welcome back to That's Joy, the podcast. I'm your host, Cece, and I am so grateful that y'all chose to hit play. You chose of all the podcasts in the land to plug into this one. And so I hope and pray that your time here is worthwhile and that by the end of this episode, you would just be so incredibly encouraged, because I know that today's topic, it's going to be a fiery one. And I love bringing the fire. In fact, someone in our text community recently texted in how it feels like I punched them in the face in the best way. And that is the energy that I hope to bring you guys in the most loving way, of course. I hope that every single word that I share with y'all would just be that nudge, that little like, all right, we're going to inch you forward. If you have siblings, it's that like gut punch that you need or someone just tells you how it is. And I hope that I get to be a little bit of that, a whole lot of joy, and even more encouragement. And so if you're new around here, you may not know that we love kicking off every episode with a little joyful noise. Joyful noise is just our version of good news. And by the way, there is always so much good news happening in the world. Sometimes we just forget to highlight it. And so my hope at the top of every That's Joy episode is that we just take the opportunity and a moment to highlight the good things that are happening. So today's good news is Starbucks has some summer drinkies. Yeah, some summer drinks that are full of so much flavor. And I know that there are some people who are just Starbucks diehards. They'll go every single day. And then there's also this category of peeps that are like so anti-Starbucks. I'd say I'm somewhere in the middle where I love a local coffee shop, but I also love the convenience of Starbucks, and I don't think that their coffee tastes bad. In fact, there is a new syrup in the house. There's actually a new drink, but I discovered that you can just get it as just the syrup, and I'll tell you my order in a second. But there's this white chocolate macadamia nut latte, and I get it as a, hold on, it's literally right here, as a shaken espresso with almond milk, and then usually just 2 pumps or 1 pump of macadamia syrup and 1 pump of white mocha. Right now I have a venti size, so I have 2 pumps. But if I'm getting a grande, I'll just do 1 and 1. And I am telling you, you guys, there is several coffee shops in Hawaii where I would get an island latte and it has a macadamia syrup inside of it. This tastes close. It's not Hawaii, but it feels close. And that is something to celebrate. So if you're someone who loves macadamia, if you're someone who loves a little summer drink moment, head to Starbucks. I wish this was sponsored. Lord, maybe one day. But honestly, that's our joyful noise to hit off this episode. And it's just kind of funny because I feel like a lot of joyful noise has incorporated coffee to some effect. And if that's not telling you where we're at, I don't know what is, but we're grinding. We are committed to our dreams and we are in building phase. And that's why we need a lot of coffee. Anyhow, that leads me to today's topic. And now we're talking all about the influencer and what it looks like to be an influencer today. I think that there's so much to say about this topic, and there's no way that I can sit here in one episode and try to cover it all. But I hope and pray that by the end of this episode, you feel encouraged, that you redefine what influencer means in your life, and then also you have the courage to step into being that influencer. And so much of what I am sharing was sparked from a recent church service that I plugged into, where Alex Seeley spoke into this a bit more, and she said we need to be the influencers that shift culture. Like, what does it look like to shift culture? I think so much of what it means to shift culture really is going in the will of God, walking in the will of God, right? I think that we always have the opportunity at where we're at a crossroads where we have a choice in pursuing what the world wants of us and what the world perceives as success. And then we have another option of doing sometimes what feels a little bit more gritty, a little bit more uncomfortable, and a little bit more outside of exactly what we thought for ourselves, but this inner knowing that we need to step this way. And so my hope is that I just stir something in you that ignites this like discernment within you to be able to make the decision and draw more clarity to what God is calling you to do and how you can be an influencer in your realm, in your world, no matter what type of work that you do. And when I say this word, here's what I don't mean. I don't mean that you are someone who is on Instagram producing content, making reels, posting your tap to shop, and creating an income out of that. While I do believe that there are so many incredible influencers who, by the way, I follow and I love, who are full-time world influencers who also believe in Jesus still and do it really well. I love those peeps. I think that that's amazing that they've built a career out of that. But on this episode, I'm not talking about that type of influencer. I'm talking about someone who sparks a dose of influence no matter their realm, no matter their following, whether you have 5 people following you on Instagram right now. In fact, if you have one person who is following you on Instagram, or one friend or one person that you know in your life, guess what? You're influencing. You're influencing to some level. And I just believe that to be so true because our actions are powerful. Our words are powerful. And oftentimes they'll go so much further than what we are able to see with our own eyes, or we are able to hear with our own ears. And I know that to be true because I constantly see that happening with the podcast and with friends of friends. And I just know that y'all, it's just all so much bigger than ourselves. And I wanted to speak specifically to the dreamers. Dreamers, I want you to lean into this episode and to lean in to these moments because we find ourselves in May. May's actually wrapping up. By the time that I actually put this episode out, it's likely going to be June. And we're looking at June 2023. Friends, we got about 7 months of the year in front of us. 7 months. And you think about how much time just flew by, right? I feel like it was just yesterday I was ringing in the new year and shooting a gun for the very first time with my boyfriend and his family. And that's what we did for New Year's. One of the things, of course, that we got to do. I share that because it was a bucket list thing that I've always wanted to do. And I feel like that moment was just yesterday. And now I'm like, hold up, it's about to be June? It's June? Where in the heck has the time gone? And if you're anything like me, you might be like feeling this sense of hurry of like, oh no, I'm not where I want to be yet. And I thought that I would be X at this time of year. Well, you're not alone because I have felt those same emotions come over me, and I just feel like the Holy Spirit wants to whisper to you and whisper to me that you're right where you need to be. It's time to lock it in, and it's time to remember why you started. It is build season. It is build season. It is build season. And build, the word, is actually my word of the year. And so I have shaken things up, and I've put new Post-its around my house, and I am putting these new reminders all around me to kind of like create this quickening of, all right, Let's recalibrate. We have more time ahead of us than we do behind us. So let's take advantage of what's ahead of us and then let's not look behind us, right? All of these things are so crucial and so important. And so something that Alex has shared was, she shared a quote that pursuing like the will of God is a long walk of obedience in the same direction. If we want to see anything and see the fruit of anything, it's a long walk of obedience in the same direction. direction. And that's sometimes not fun. Sometimes it isn't fun to put your boots to the ground and do the same thing, repetition, the same thing every day, and be incredibly consistent at that same thing and keep walking and treading in the same direction for long enough for you to see results, for long enough for you to achieve the thing that you set out to achieve. And I'm not speaking to everyone because I don't think that everyone has that same fire in their soul. But if you're at this point of the episode, I'm just believing that you're dreaming for something, that you have things lied down on your heart that you know that you know that you know that you need to answer, that you need to step into. And friend, now is the time. Now is the time to awaken the soul, to awaken the mind, and to step into all that God is calling us to be. And there's so much in between that end result and where we are today, and that is action. Another quote that she shared that is just so powerful is, "Are you willing to use your gift with joy to help set others free, even if you're still in prison?" I need to read that again. Are you willing to use your gift with joy to help set others free, even if you are still in prison? And so that prison piece, it can feel a little heavy, like, oh, no, I'm not in prison. But sometimes I think we don't step into our calling or step into that, just that flow, because there are things that are holding us back. Whether that be insecurity or fear or anxiety, I don't know what it is, but sometimes I think those 3 words that I just said can cage up around our lives and be somewhat of a prison, almost like a spiritual prison, not like a physical one with bars, but one where you aren't taking action, where you aren't moving into the things in the areas that you need to move into. And I want to break us free from there. But also, even if we are there, I want us to be the people who still use our gifts with joy, because we know that it's going to set others free, even if we are still in our prisons. Like, how do we set others free? And I get curious, and I've been thinking about this question a lot myself over my own life, but what's our heart postures like when others are walking in the prayers that we are asking God for? How's our hearts? What does that look like? Are we still choosing to celebrate other people well? Are we still choosing to speak life into these people and to just lift them up and love them well, even though they are walking in the very things that we are hoping and we are praying for? Because friends, if our heart posture isn't in the area of loving them well, in fact, in loving them with everything that we got, I believe we won't receive or walk into any ounce of that. We have to change our heart posture. And it's so much easier said than done, right? Jealousy is real. Envy is so real. And wanting and longing for these things are real. Oftentimes, if you're walking in the will of God, those desires on your heart are placed on your heart for a reason, outside of you and your own decisions. So I think and I know that God knows that. He knows all the details of our lives. He knows the beginning to the end. And so if he knows all of it, then we have to know and trust that, okay, God, you know, and you put this desire in my heart. So while I wait, let me be the friend that encourages them with everything I got. Let me be the friend that loves them relentlessly with no bounds, and let them feel the most love from me while I want that very thing that they are walking in. And that's not an easy feat. And when you get to a place where you can start to exercise that, you will get better and better at celebrating all those around you. And you'll find so much contentment with where God has you now, while still carrying the vision of the dream. Because it isn't this contentment of, all right, I'm good. I don't need to achieve or step into what God's calling me to do because I'm good. Everything's good. Yeah. That's not what I mean. I mean a contentment deep in your soul that says everything I have is everything I need, and God, I am grateful. If you gave me nothing else, I'd be good. And I know that this vision is placed in my heart and in my mind for a reason. So while I stand here, slowly stepping to where you are calling me to go, I trust you. I trust your timing. I trust all that you're doing in the background. And I just know that there are things that you are doing that I can't see and I may not be able to ever see on this side of heaven, but I will continue to walk forward. I will continue to press forward. And that's it, friends. If we can get that, like if we can genuinely get that, then I believe that we will break free into so many different other areas of our lives. What you see today, what you see as CC today, where my Instagram followers are at and how many reviews and subscriptions I have on That's Joy, and whatever my TikTok following is, whatever all those numbers look like, I think we associate so naturally because we've honestly been, society has taught us to view influencer this way. However you see whatever you're looking at when it comes to CC Colbanero, it's all a byproduct. It's a byproduct of a walk of obedience with the best ability that I have known to have during different phases and different seasons of my life. Now, what I mean by that is what you see is a byproduct of no's. It's a byproduct of fails. It's a byproduct of rejections and tries and so much getting up and then falling and standing back up again. And I don't have that many years under my belt, but what I do have is some experience, and I think enough to say that there have been so many moments where I've seen big glimmers of light and hope in where God is calling me to go, and then also doors that shut right on my nose. And I've experienced both, and I can stand and testify to both. And with that knowledge, I can now speak and say that because I have seen the doors open, I know that they're going to open again. And when the next door shuts in front of me, I know that it's just temporary and it's a teaching and there's a refining that needs to take place before that next door opens. And so as I look for the next chapters and look forward to the next chapters of my life and the new dreams and the dreams that I've yet to walk into that I know God promised a year ago or maybe a couple years ago, I can know and believe that He is going to do it. I just have to be obedient. And one of the scriptures that I love most is honestly from Hebrews. The whole book of Hebrews, we did a study of this about a year and a half ago with a small group of girls. And I just love this book so much in the Bible because so much of it and the heartbeat of it is living by faith. And one of my favorite verses is Hebrews 12, and it reads, "A huge cloud of witnesses is all around us. So let us throw off everything that stands in our way. Let us throw off any sin that holds on to us so tightly. And let us keep on running the race marked out for us. Let us keep looking to Jesus. He is the one who started this journey of faith, and He is the one who completes the journey of faith. He paid no attention to the shame of the cross. He suffered there because of the joy He was looking forward to. Then He sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. He made it through these attacks by sinners. So think about Him. Then you won't get tired. You won't lose hope." Friends, that is so incredibly powerful. If we were to just get that, like truly get that. One, the beginning, there is a great cloud of witnesses. There are so many in heaven who are rooting and cheering you on and wanting you to win, to just win and to break free from all of those little micro prisons that are holding you back from all that God is calling you to be. And when it says, let us throw off any sin and shame. Like, let us let go of all those things so that we may run further. I just think about it like the backpack. If we have these cinder blocks in our backs with shame and guilt, we can't run very fast. We're not going to go as far as we can go if we were to unpack that, set that bag down, and run the race marked out for us. And so I just want you to recalibrate. I want you to realign. And as you are walking, I want to remind you of this scripture so that we can just be aware, like just be so aware of what God is doing. And that's from Luke 24. I'm reading through the book of Acts now with a group of girlfriends, and we're doing a study by Lisa Harper. It's so powerful. If you want to get it on Amazon, highly recommend. It's called Believing Jesus, study of the book of Acts, but it's carrying us through the Gospels, and it's highlighting different parts of it that tie so seamlessly into Acts. And that's the majority of the Bible, right? There are certain books that will refer to other books that give it context so that you can really understand what's happening. And I'm still so much in my beginning learning phase of what that looks like. But we are reading through Luke 24, where it was talking about how the disciples didn't even realize that they were walking next to Jesus. And I want you to go read this. It's Luke 24, verses 13 to 33. Take time to read it whenever you have the opportunity to. But what I want to draw is highlighting the fact that, y'all, Jesus is always with us. And these disciples didn't even know that it was Jesus that they were talking to the whole time. And I wonder what that looks like in our lives today. Like, if they had cell phones, their heads probably would have been down. They would have been walking, looking at their phones, not even looking up and at the eyes of the person that's speaking to them. And I think that we need to be aware of this. We need to increase our awareness of this, because I think that Jesus shows up in tons of different ways in our today, in 2023. I think that there are God moments that we might miss out on simply because we're not paying attention. I was on a run the other day, and I was just honestly having a huge God moment as I was running, because I just noticed way more. I was like, man, the fact that I'm running right now, I don't have the opportunity to look at my phone for a single second, and I'm just looking at all around me. And I wonder what the disciples at this time would have thought if they were looking all around them. They wouldn't have missed that it was Jesus. And I don't want us to miss the Jesus right now in the different ways that he's moving today. I don't want us to miss it. And so I want us to wash our eyes, and to pick up a new pair of lens. If we need to pick up that new pair of lens that says, you know what, I don't like this pair of glasses in the way that I have been looking at this year so far. So I'm going to lay this down. I'm going to put it down, and I'm going to pick up a new lens. Today, I'm picking up a lens that says, I am believing in the goodness of God. I am believing that the best is ahead of me. And I am believing that these next 7 months will be better than the last. I'm believing it. I'm believing it. I'm believing it. I'm believing it. And the thing about belief is that it's paired with faith in action, to believe for something. And so I just want us to be the people who believe. Friend, your dreams are so worth it, and we need your gifts. And it's time that we all lock arms together to shift culture. If there's a certain part of this episode that you loved, I'd love to speak to that more. You can shoot me a text to 615-813-4813. And if you're not following me on social yet, you can follow me at CCALBONERO on Insta and on TikTok. And you can follow That's Joy the Podcast on both of those as well. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review if you haven't yet. And friends, I'll never leave an episode without saying, if you have even the smallest desire to meet the creator of the universe, or if you have already been saved but you aren't really free, I want to invite you to sit at the table of plenty with me and so many others. I'm telling you, there's an abundance here. There's an overflow here, and there's so much joy here. I'm here to tell you that God's for you. All you have to do is invite him into your heart right now. He's waiting for you. He wants to meet with you. I'm so proud of you. If you just made this decision, I'd love to know you. Shoot me a text to the number in the show notes so I could pray for you. I love you. God loves you. And until next time, I'll chat with y'all next time. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here.